Hello, I am Dandhy Laksono from Indonesia. It is an honor to be part of this forum and apologize for not being able to attend as scheduled due to visa issue. I'm a journalist, I'm a filmmaker based in Jakarta. One of the methods we use in film production is through expeditions traveling around Indonesia with small motorcycles. It's cheaper and hopefully low carbon footprint as well. In the last 10 years, we have been on 2 expeditions around Indonesia. We captured the issue of energy through 3 films, which we will discuss now. The first was about coal energy called Sexy Killers. The second one is about geothermal. And the last one we are working on is a story about nickel and electric vehicles. We released Sexy Killers on YouTube in April 2019, just 4 days before Indonesian presidential election. Within 7 days, the movie reached 13 million views and became 20 million in the same month. In recent years, Indonesia has ranked as the world's 3rd largest coal producer after India and China. When the film was made, Indonesia coal production reached 548 million tons. 6 years later, amid global effort to reduce emission from fossil energy, Indonesia's coal production broke a historical record. So why is Indonesia, which is part of Paris Agreement, showing no sign of making an energy transition? One short answer is due to conflict of interest among high-ranked state officials and politicians. Both presidential candidates and their supporting parties are linked to coal industries, from mining site, power plant, and even financial companies. These include President Jokowi's 2 sons, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, which now is Prabowo's vice president, and Kaisang Pangarep, chairman of the Indonesian Solidarity Party. Sexy Killers recount hundreds of cases of children dying in unreclaimed mine open pits and villages lost to mining in Borneo. During the transportation process, hundreds of coal barks crossing the Java Sea every year have damaged coral reefs in conservation areas. This does not include hundreds of cases of respiratory infection and death from nasopharyngeal cancer among residents who live side by side with the power plants. The premise of this film is Indonesian government is not dealing with the coal miners lobbying, but the coal miners themselves are ruling this country. The current share of Indonesia's renewable energy is only 17 to 20%. In Indonesia's national energy policy, by 2025, the use of renewable energy is targeted to reach 23%. However, the target was postponed by 6 years to 2030. Just like coal, Indonesia is the world's largest nickel producer. We control about 30% of world's nickel. The government targets to have at least 2 million electric cars and 13 million electric motorcycles on the road by 2030. To make this happen, a subsidy of more than $400 million will be set aside for the production of electric motorcycles. Here the paradox begins. First, with the energy mix still dominated by coal for the next 30 years, the increase in the electric vehicle population will be followed by the demand of coal. Second, from nickel ore to batteries, a long production chain is needed and requires coal energy. In the next 7 years, captive power plants will increase by 180%. This seems to contradict President Prabowo's promise to end the fossil fuel era in 15 years. And Mr. President Prabowo is one of coal business owner. As with coal, the environmental and social costs of nickel mining and smelting are not small. Over the past 3 years, together with the Watchdog team, we have filmed at least 6 nickel mining and industrial centers in eastern Indonesia in the docu-series Bloody Nickel. In 2024 alone, the mining sector, including coal and nickel, become the 3rd largest contributor to Indonesian agrarian conflict. We are talking about 41 cases affecting the life of 11,000 families and covering a land area of up to 71,000 hectares just in 1 year. But still, this story is not about energy transition from fossil fuel to battery system. Private vehicle growth ranged from 8 to 13% per year, while public transportation infrastructure growth is only 0.1 to 1%. By 2024, with a population of 283 million, the number of motorized vehicles in Indonesia will reach 164 million units, or every 2 people have 1 vehicle. Therefore, the energy transition in the transportation sector in Indonesia is likely to only replace fossil-fueled private vehicle with battery-powered private vehicle. Besides nickel, the paradox of Indonesia's energy transition is also evident in the palm oil-based biofuel project. Indonesia is the world's largest palm oil producer with 17 million hectares of oil palm plantation. With the narrative of reducing transportation emissions by around 35 million tons of CO2, the Indonesian government increased the biodiesel content to 35%, or B35. And this year began a program for B40. One of the projects to realize this is by clearing 2 million hectares of forest in West Papua for food crops and bioethanol or sugarcane plantation. This is the largest ecological project in Indonesian history after President Suharto's project failure on 1 million hectares of peatland in Borneo in 1996. Oil palm-dominated plantations are the main cause of agrarian conflict in Indonesia, which in the last 10 years reached 3,000 cases, covering 7 million hectares of land and forests, and involving the fate of 1.8 million families. In the journey of New Indonesia Expedition, we also recorded the story about energy transition from fossil to geothermal in Indonesia. It's a country in the Ring of Fire and owner of 40% of global geothermal potential. Indonesia is promoting geothermal power generation projects. Indonesia is listed as the second country to utilize geothermal for electricity after United States. The movie Hot Stuff, which we released in 2023, records social and economic conflicts related to geothermal projects in several locations in Indonesia, such as Sumatra, Java, and Flores. The Indonesian government even designated Flores as a geothermal island, without engagement and consultation with local residents. As a result, a number of geothermal projects have been rejected, such as the World Bank-funded Waisano and the German KfW Bank-funded Pocoleo. There are several cases in the field and objections that we recorded in the film, including land right and living space, disruption of water sources, gas explosions, public health problems, degradation of agriculture crop quality, damage to property, labor absorption issue, electricity distribution, threatened culture and social autonomy of the community, and police violence. These are our reflections on filming about energy transition in Indonesia. The story of energy transition in Indonesia is a story about conflict of interest between business and public policy making. Second, the energy transition is also not an issue of technology per se, but also about scale, business models, as well as socio-cultural aspect. For an archipelago like Indonesia, autonomy over energy sourcing and community ownership are key to a successful just energy transition. Thank you.